floating out. I grab mine, and Mitch, of course, is in this long, and he misses. His goes out. He goes, I'm going after it. No, don't. You know, if you go jumping in Lake Michigan, you'll get pulled out. I said, I'll run to the car, and I'll get a life jacket or something. So I run back. I step on a piece of glass. I'm hopping on one foot, grab this life preserver, and I run back. I said, here, take this. Mitch is already stripped down. He jumps in. He's going out with this thing, and he's swimming. And just as before this thing drops down, he grabs it. He goes, I got it. I said, great. All of a sudden, I see him. He's going further away. He goes, I don't know. He's swimming like crazy. He's not here. I said, Mitch, whatever you do, don't drown. My sister will kill me.
And then you came here and you kept saying, why would you do that? And I said, you have any idea how much money I have in lures in this thing? I had like 5 Rapalas.
Did you save the tackle box?
Yes, I still have that same tackle box. I have that exact same tackle box. To this day. Well, I was never known to be wise in those ways.
Well, I had a bunch of note cards here because it's my son, so I can roast him as much as I like. But at the last minute, Diane called me and let me know that I was picking up the kids early so that she could fool him into coming here. So I left my notes at home, so this is sort of my memory. Well, we all know what a great hunter Mitch is. But have you ever noticed that he always hunts things that are a lot smaller than he is? Well, this stems from when he had a chameleon for a pet. And one day I hear this screaming from the bedroom, my chameleon is eating me! And, you know, I mean, mothers. So I go dashing in, I pat the poor little animal across the room.
With a shoe. With a shoe.
With a shoe. It had, you know, got a hold of his thumb. He was not the big brave hunter then.
It startled me. I got this little green thing that for months you're petting and all of a sudden it's like,
The roastie doesn't get the comment. Somebody asked about the t-shirt, help, I'm talking and I can't shut up. We had a minister lived right across the street from us, and minister's wife used to come over for coffee all the time. This was when Mitch was about 3. He started talking at 1.5 years, hasn't shut up yet. And anyhow, this woman's name was Thelma, beautiful lady, really nice lady. And she comes over for coffee, and Mitch is, you know, and she says, does he talk like that all the time? And I said, yeah, Thelma, several times a day. I say, Jesus Christ, Mitch, will you please shut up? And I said, I'm not swearing, I'm praying. Getting back to animals, several times when Mitch was anywhere from say 4 to about 10, round me up, I've been practicing all day. This is my 15 seconds of fame. Oh, well, a little more than 15 seconds. Anyhow, several times from the time Mitch was say about 4 until he was 12, you go in the room at night, you hear a noise. Mitch sleeps like this, you know, with his feet up, flat on his back, feet up, you know, arms up. He thinks he's a chipmunk, a dead chipmunk or something.
you'll do it, don't I?
So anyhow, that's about, you know, my roast and Mitch. He actually was a really wonderful baby. He had colic the least amount of time of any of the kids. He entertained himself, still can. Anyhow, I love him. 40 years ago I had him. Easiest one of the bunch. The doctor gave me an amnesiac. I don't remember anything. He was born with red hair and green eyes, even though they say babies are not born with green eyes, but he was. And his hair changed. But I think he still has the redhead's temper. But anyhow, I love him. Happy birthday.
You're enjoying this, aren't you, Mitch?
Boy.
I'm having a good time too.
In case you were wondering, yeah, that's all I'm taking.
Boy, I could film at 11. This is good. I'm getting it up. So that was good. I'm glad the roast was good.
Adios.
Well, I can remember a few things that have happened.
Hello.
One that particularly sticks in my mind was one night when my mom and Mitch and I were watching Creature Features. And I don't...
Hum the theme, Jeff.
Yeah, it was horror movies. Yeah. I think it was like the Mummy or something like that. There you go. Yeah, Creature Features. And here it goes. The movie was over, and I real quick said, well, I'm going to bed, which is unlike me. But anyway, I went in, and the way our house was laid out, I went into the dining room, turned the corner, and waited. In the dark. And Mitch came walking through, and I didn't say a word. All I did was go, and I put my hand in front of his face, and he levitated. He assumed the prenatal positions in the air, wrapped it up, like this. He floated there for a second, then hit the ground, and he started going, ah! I was frightened. I was laughing so hard. My mom was laughing so hard. My dad was asleep for a very short time. He came in, and walking in there. Mitch is on the ground, catatonic, going, ah! I'm laughing, Mom's laughing, and Dad said, what? Stop it! And he said, I can't! Dad just said, you guys are nuts. Turned around and went back to bed. So that was one experience.
Was that before or after the salamander?
That was probably after.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot of.
I was 22. Approximately 40 years worth of stories that I could tell. Some of the highlights. We used to play Cowboys and Indians, and he was smaller than everybody else. He had this little plastic tomahawk. He called it a tomahawk. Yes. Hard to say tomahawk when it's smaller than everyone. And so he would walk up behind people, hit them, and they'd turn around and shoot him. And since he was small, he had to die. It was hollow and plastic. Yeah. It did nothing. Well, my weapon that I used in this particular game was a Ben Pearson fiberglass bow, which was about a 30-pound draw. And I had an arrow that had broken, and I took rags and I put it over the end of it and wrapped it up with string. So I had this big ball on the end of it. And when I hit people, they didn't, say, you missed. Didn't say anything. Mitch got really frustrated, so he went out in the alley and he took his Hamatock apart and he filled it full of rocks. Then put it back together and proceeded to climb up to the peak of the roof of our house and waited for the first victim to come on top of me. And he whipped it down. It was a great shot. Smacked me right in the top of the head. And I hit the ground, and he was standing at the peak of the roof, looking down, laughing. And I grabbed the bow and was instant shots. Like this, hit him dead on the chin. And he was out cold. He went off the top of the roof. A beautiful three-quarter flip and landed flat on his back. Knocked the wind out of him. I was survived that. He's good at falls. We were at Central Park in Griffith one time. They have an army tank there from World War II. There's a monument. And we were playing on the army tank. And Mitch had a tendency, used to sit all the time with his legs really folded up like a lotus position. And we were sitting on top of the army tank and doing something and
Eating bread and butter.
yes, we were eating bread and butter. That's right. We were taking our lunch with us. We were eating it on top of the army tank. And you have to understand, the army tank was sitting on a concrete slab that extended about 2 feet all the way around. Well, Mitch was sitting up there and just started sliding. Off the side of the and he's going,
I can still see it, man.
I can still see it. His eyes were about this big around and he just went right on over. I remember
You going this way and
Yeah,
you going.
I'm reaching for him, and he's just going right on over. And as I got to the edge of the tank, I saw him land on his head right on the quarter of the concrete. And he went, oh! You know, and then that was about it. And I was like, ooh, man, that hurt.
Climbing back up like an
Climbed
idiot.
back up, finished the bread and butter.
So speaking of survival, I'm surprised that Gloria made it.
I didn't know about these things until years later.
That's how. Oh, wow.
That's probably about enough highlights that I could think of right off the bat.
We need Uncle
I
Greg
almost
to
broke
tell
your head on the
us.
TV, but you jumped me.
That's true. I made the mistake one time of coming up and grabbing Mitch from behind when he was taking judo lessons, or actually it was taekwondo. And
Another hard word to
grabbed
pronounce.
him from behind like this,
Switch
and the
to
next
judo.
thing I know, I'm flying through the air and did this beautiful half twist and cracked the corner of my head on
The corner of your head.
the corner. I have a problem blocked that particularly by my father, but corner of the TV set right on the back of my head and went out like a light. And Mitch, being the terribly brave human being that he was, I remember him standing at the other end of the family room, throwing water at me.
I knew I needed to wake him.
Because he knew
And
when I
Dan
got
and
up, I
were
was going
afraid
to
to get
kill him.
close. So. As soon as I hit him, just run.
There was also one other funny time when he was doing the martial arts thing, and he walked up to my dad. And those of you know my dad, great sense of humor, real dry sense of humor. And Dad's just standing there, and Mitch walks up to him and says, "Try to hit me." Dad goes, BAM! His eyes are spinning around his head. None of this, wait, get ready or anything. Try to hit me. That was funny. I enjoyed that.
Well, and I had like, 5 classes with Master Lee on all the different breaks, And I mean, anybody that grabbed my wrist, it was like split second, out, out, out. I forgot Dad, the 30 years with pliers. Grab my wrist. Grab my wrist, Dad, and whenever you do, don't let go. Watch this. And he's like, are you done? The fingers are like just hanging, turning white. You can let go, I give up. Yep, that was fun. That's why I quit that taekwondo. They hit back. No one told me. I got hit by a girl about 5'8", and she just took me out like it was a new hobby. It was really embarrassing. I never even saw it coming. She was really pretty, but didn't, I could take her. No, you can't.
She was in cahoots with your dad.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad that Paul Helfand isn't here. He could tell the story about when Mitch snuck up on him in the middle of the night.
But that is I'll tell only one, and then I will actually shut up. But my favorite, I do like to scare people, and you're the one that taught me. And but I like to really do it. And my favorite is about 2 in the morning, and we were watching some stupid, not even a B movie, like a D movie. And your dad's sleeping, and your mom, everybody's sleeping. It's 2 in the morning. I think we had come back from Friday night services or something, and I was staying overnight. I go in to make a sandwich. And I come back, and this stupid movie was about a guy who could change into any kind of creature, and then he'd kill people. Well, I come back, and he had turned into a snake. And there's this guy, one of the good guys, or one of the victims, is by a fire, and the bad guy has turned into a snake, and he's coming closer. And as I come into the room, Paul is sitting, this is my cousin Paul, he's sitting on this little hassock or something, watching this thing. And I come in, and he's really watching, and I hear Paul, and I can do Paul pretty good. Here we go. Watch out, bud. Oh man, he's gonna get you. I come in and I sit down in the chair. And I get down and I start crawling. And I'm coming up behind. And I get to where he can't see me. And I'm around the corner. And now they start panning. They start showing the guy's forearm and the snake. And the forearm. And it's a little closer each time. And Paul, this is great. He starts going, oh, buddy. And he starts like guarding that arm. And I'm watching the movie and I'm watching the thing. And that snake goes, boom. And I just reached up and grabbed his arm. Didn't say a word, just clamped on it. It's got me! It's got me! He starts screaming and I'm holding out for all I got. He looks down at me. About this time, Uncle Roy come in. Uncle Roy's a big man. He come out in his underwear, staring at us, and Paul is like trying to just find reality. He's looking at the TV and checking his arm and looking at me, and I'm just dying. Dad didn't say anything. He just looked and looked and looked. Turned around and walked. I thought he was good. I never got anybody that good. Man, it's a wonder I didn't kill him. Yes, it really is. That's my best.
But you got the memory, that's good news.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, we used the memory too.
We were always trying to scare my dad. My dad had nerves of steel, I guess, actually. You could not startle him. You know, I mean, no matter what you did. And I mean, we would set up all these elaborate things, and things where he would open up the door and it would knock down dominoes, and he'd go rolling around and throw pans on the floor, and spiders would swing into his face, and he'd be going like, "Oh, it's good." And it's like, it's just.
No, he was just very patient. He built beeping balls for the blind children. He was one of the first ones, and he had to take a softball apart, put all these components. You know, he didn't have microchips. He put these components, then he poured rubber in there, which would dry, and he'd sew. I mean, it took him. I don't know. It'd take him a couple of weeks to do one.
We're having our party over here.
You're not gonna bark, are you?
No, I was just telling her about the time you sick Luke.
Oh, but he's building softballs that would beep for blind children. So they'd pull out, and he had a pin, and you had one pin you put in that had a cord, and you plugged it in, and it would charge up the little battery. Then when you uncharged, took it off, you had another pin you put in there to keep it from beeping, so it wouldn't wear down. And he'd say, "Mitch, we need to go test one of these. Let's go." And I'd walk down to the park with him, and he'd stand on the pitcher's mound, and he'd get the bat and beep, 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 beep. Stop beeping, and he'd go, "Son of a..." And he'd grab it, and we'd walk home. And I'd have the bat, and that was the whole big thing. And he'd go home and start ripping it apart. And about 2 weeks later, "Mitch, coming down to the park with me?" "Sure." Beep, beep, beep. Go get that. And I'd get the ball, come back, and that ain't right. And boy, it was like the 5th time that he finally found out how to lay everything, and then he let me go over to Verica's school with him to put him out. It was cool.
We also played with those things on the floor. We'd sit in the dark, we'd blindfold ourselves and then roll it back and forth. And I can seem to remember sometime when Mitch and I were rolling it back and forth, and we were getting pretty good at grabbing it here to come by, and we kept getting faster and faster, and you're sitting there with your feet wide apart so that you don't lose the ball. And there you go. This time. I wish it'd beep louder. Okay.
It wasn't a wishbone.
Okay, wait. I have a story. One of my fondest memories is getting in my little karate gi pajamas and sitting in the living room and having my dad teach me martial arts when I was just little silly things that I thought, oh, cool. And one time we had company over, and I had just finished one of my little karate sessions, and he said, "I'll tell you what, we've got company. I can tell you really don't want to go to bed. If you can punch me square in the nose, I'll stay up an extra half hour." He goes, "You got to do it just right, and I'm going to be blocking." He goes, "Can you do this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." So I'm getting all ready. I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I get up there, I'm right in front of him, and I'm just punching, just doing everything I can. And he's just blocking me, just like grinning at me. Like, okay, good job, I'm glad I taught you that, you know. And so finally I get really mad and I go, fine! And I just stormed down the hallway and slammed my bedroom door. But I stayed in the hallway. So I came walking up behind him extremely quietly, and I said, Daddy? And he turned around, and I said, wait a minute! I stayed up an hour.
Right off the edge of the couch, I mean, right in front of everyone. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, you don't want to do that. It'll be on tape and you'll be embarrassed later. That'll be our little secret. It was fun.
Father Philip, wasn't there one time when you, Mitch startled you? I seem to remember something like that. Some sort of toy or something that wound up out in the
You've probably got all
front
that.
yard.
I don't know. There's been so many people who startled me over the years.
You want to hear that one? You remember?
I don't remember that.
Diane was living with the Drennans. We were engaged, I think. And Father Philip used to be a martial artist, a very, very good martial artist, and we used to spar together a little. I had come home from working days on a Saturday, I think. I came in the house, I walk in this doorway, you gotta understand the house they were staying in had this huge living room. And he's standing watching television, and you know those little poppers that the kids play with? You push it and the little balls go blinkety, blinkety, blinkety. He's got one of these, and he's standing, and he's watching TV and talking, and he's just kind of swinging this thing, just kind of doing something. And laying right here is a beanbag, a big beanbag. Well, I walk in, and I thought they'd seen me come in. Well, Diane had seen me, both Dianes. Well, I'm like 21 years old, and here's my girlfriend, wife-to-be, and I didn't weigh as much as I do now, and I was thinking this would be a good time to do something stupid. So I decide that if the beanbag where it's at, that I can run and do a flying kick. And I'm going to come through the air, and I'm going to be locked up like you're supposed to be, and my second-degree black belt friend here is going to be impressed. He didn't know I was in the room. I thought he knew I was there. I thought he would just like go, or something like this. Well, he's swinging. I get running. I mean, I really get going. Through the air. Well, this is the first time he realizes I'm there, and he goes into survival mode. He like takes the toy. He's got it this way. It's like seen the Peter Sellers movies. And suddenly I got this guy turning with a face like this, and he's like, and this thing comes, here's the end, right at my head. And it's coming, and I go, and it slips out of his hand and goes right through the window, okay, and lands right in the front yard by Grant Street. Now I'm laying here, I'm laying on the beanbag, landed where I meant to land actually. He's standing like this. And his face is like, and he looks, and he like takes in everything in the room. His glass is still, this is the funny part. He looks at me and he says, can't believe I missed you. How many glasses of popper milk that I wiped off? Did you come up and say, oh, boy, I shouldn't walk up behind you like that, should I?
I always got my back to a wall, you know.
You got better.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's a wonder we lived.
Yeah. Hey, Mitch, could we have a 40th birthday party next week too? I like this. This is fun.
Somebody's got to be due.
Well, I was, but it's been so long ago I forgot.
Well, Mitch, I wasn't prepared to roast you, and I'm not going to do that. And I wasn't going to
Bless you,
say anything because I'll say a few things though. I don't want to talk long because when I talk about people, sometimes it ends up sounding more like a funeral. Good things.
Always the audio guy, sorry.
Well, just hearing people talk a few minutes, a few things that they said, it made me think of something John Chrysostom said one time. Somebody had written him trying to describe a person, and was talking about all their tastes and their loves and different things that they were into. Chrysostom said, "That's all very interesting, but why haven't you told me anything about the person himself?" You know, and of course we can tell stories all night, you know, about you, and they're all interesting. But what about you, the man himself? And I guess that's, I know you as a man, you know, that said years ago when I had a chance to get to know you better, I told people, I said, you know, we were talking earlier tonight about Lord of the Rings and this and the Hobbit, and I thought of what Gandalf had said to, was it Frodo or Bilbo Baggins? He said, "Here is someone who is who's so much more than meets the eye," and you are so much more than meets the eye. And the more I know you, the more I find that to be true. I appreciate you because your quick wit, that's true, but you always have an independent mind, and yet coupled with that is loyalty too. You know, you're not a yes man. You'll always speak what your mind is, and it's always worth listening to. But when things are said and done, you're always very loyal. And I think of the song, or that we sing from the Psalms, it says, "Glad are my heart and my soul." What is that song?
It is good for brothers to live together.
Yeah, what good companions you've given to me, the faithful who live in this land. And my relationship to you is that I enjoy is indispensable to me because you, with some of the other men, a lot of them that are in this room, have hearts that are for God and for the church, and that makes my life so much more safer in this world because I have people that can look out for me and help me. And even tonight, when you didn't want us to sing Happy Birthday, but God grant you many years, it just says where your heart is. You know, and I've seen over the years that you have a real heart for God, and sometimes your quick wit has given you trouble, you know, but you're always quick to go home and think through what you've done, things you've said, where you may have hurt people, and you're a real sensitive person. And I don't think maybe people know that side of you. But, there's probably a few more things I can say too, but I love you, and I'm glad this is your night, and that I can be associated with you as a friend and as a Christian. And I look forward to having many years with you.
I think it would be good if we would talk about the man you are. Frank and I truly appreciate you. Now, we've had a really good time, Mitch, a lot of fun time tonight. But I think the sincerity that you have, I mean, all of you know that Mitch would go every Friday night to see Lane up at the hospital. And he endeared himself to, and I don't care what the weather, and we had a bad winter. He went up there and he would go and visit Lane. And I don't know what all they talked about, but I know this, from all their years, they were roommates for years when they were young men, and they were just out of school, they were in college and out, and they were good buddies, and then they told each other exactly what they thought, and they were still good buddies. Yeah. And I love the man that he is, but there's one thing that I don't think any of you know, or many of you don't know about this, but the years when I was so ill, very, very ill, Mitch came to the hospital one night. I'd been in the hospital like a couple of months, and I get so tired of it. And here came Mitch. I was down at the hall, at the end of the hall where my room was, and I saw him walking down the hall, and he had his guitar. And he sat there, and I was very, very ill. And he sat there, and he just strummed his guitar, and he'd hum a little while. And he'd talk to me, then he would sing real quietly. How many young men take out time to come to an old woman's room at the hospital and just keep them company? Mitch Bright, that man